Hello, balanced and fruitful people. Hope you had an amazing weekend and that you did something that brought you some joy and some peace. And I hope that you were able to rest during the weekend. And welcome back to another Education Mondays here with Genesis Solutions and Consulting, where we provide therapeutic tools for balanced living. Today is the last day that we'll be talking about this concept of values and the importance of values as we move towards our most balanced and fruitful life. Throughout the month of May, we've been talking about why values is so important and how that allows us to do three major things when we know our values. The first one, it gives us identity formation. It allows us to increase our psychological flexibility. And then today I'm talking about the last one, which is helping us to increase and maintain healthy relationships. So today we're going to talk about why it's so important that we have our value system intact and fleshed out as much as we can. Of course, we're growing and evolving, but to just have a starting point to be able to know what your value system is, so then you can move effectively, efficiently in your relationships with other people. Again, wanting to remind us about the importance of the value of stillness, why stillness is such a foundational piece to how we live in a balanced and fruitful way. It's going to be key and major for us to continue on with that balanced and fruitful living throughout the rest of our lives, but really being able to take a step back to look at, okay, stillness as a core value along with your other values can help you to maintain that rhythm that we need to find that balance between action and reflection, to be able to be present with the now but also planning for the future. So it's a dance of balance to be able to do that. And so just practicing that skill of mindfulness, of being present, of being still, is going to help us continue towards that life that we want to live. Again, we're highlighting and talking about the last key point for our values and why they are important, and that is the value of being able to have interpersonal relationships. And I'm going to talk today about dialectic behavioral therapy and why that particular therapy style for me is a really major one when working with clients and helping them to find their balance in their interpersonal relationships. Dialectic behavioral therapy, DBT, and I'm currently getting trained in this particular therapy technique and modules that it offers, because I find that it is very congruent with the clientele that I want to work with, and I think it does a phenomenal job of being able to teach skills. I think that's so important, especially as a core value for Genesis. It's education, and it's important for me that my clients are educated in what skills that they're using so that they can be efficient and effective for themselves without having to rely on external forces or other people to have that balance and intrinsic value for themselves. If you have education, then you know what tools to use, when to use it, and how to use it, so you can increase your self-esteem, self-confidence, values, worth, and all that good stuff. So I really like this model, and hopefully that I'll be training it soon and certified in that soon, so that I can continue to teach these skills that are very helpful for, I think, clients who are experiencing a lot of suffering, a lot of dichotomous thinking, and really just helping anybody who wants to be more fruitful in their relationships with themselves and with others. Dialectical Behavioral Therapy, DBT, was created by Dr. Marcia Linehan, clinical psychologist, and she developed this therapy approach for those who have experienced a lot of suffering in their life. Mostly it was created for those who were diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that can really be for those patients and clients who are often living in extremes where their emotions feel very raw, feel out of control, that one moment they really are enamored in love with something or someone, and then they do something or someone does something that they don't really agree with, and then that person is the worst person ever. Also for those clients who have a lot of history with self-interest behaviors and suicidality. And so she developed that theory and therapy techniques for those who are experiencing a lot of that suffering and inner turmoil. However, it's very helpful for anyone who is looking to increase mindfulness skills, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, as well as emotional regulation. So, those are the four modules of this therapy approach, and it helps with clients to be able to live a life worth living. And this approach, again, is very helpful because it allows for the clients to learn about educational skills and tools they need to be effective and efficient with how they see themselves, how they respect themselves, and then also how to accept the ambiguity and sometimes the in between that we can be in as human beings. Sometimes we're not always one way all the time. And so this therapy approach allows us to be able to look at the balance between the two opposites, and the balance between who we are as humans and the world that we live in, and how to find the balance in those uncomfortable spaces, things in relationships that seem at odds, but can really find a middle ground when we really use the wise mind to respond instead of using just an emotional mind or a rational mind. Dialectics. So dialectics is such an important education piece that I am teaching clients and also learning more about for myself, and understanding how we should most often look at life. So with clients who are living in those extremes where they have a cognitive distortion that they often function in, which is called polarized thinking or black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, those extreme mindsets where it's always one way, it's never that way, these very dichotomous ways of thinking. And with those clients who think in that extreme, their emotions are usually extreme that way, and then their behaviors are also extreme. So really taking a step back and looking at the reality that says that yes, there are some things that are black and white, either or, but most times in this human experience, because we're human beings with so many complex nuances to us, we have to kind of look at the truth of what's in the middle, what's in between, the wisdom that we can find in between the black and white, to be able to navigate a little bit more fluidly throughout our relationships with ourselves and with others. So dialectics is a great tool, an education piece, and a moment to pause to explain to clients what that is and why that matters in their relationships with others. So the primary dialectic within DBT is between the seemingly opposite strategies of acceptance and change. Like we talked about with ACT, being able to do both of those things at the same time, to reflect, accept what is, and then also move towards acting in a way that's congruent with your life, that you want to do whatever is meaningful for you, so that you can live your most balanced and authentic life that is worth living for you. And then being able to think in a dialectic way, being able to see two things as being true versus it only being this way or only being the other way, it increases problem solving and reduces this feeling of being stuck and powerless. And so with clients, a lot of the times I'm helping them to look at, okay, yes, this is how you're feeling, really validating that experience for them, but also saying, okay, what else is available for you to move past this point so that you can make a decision that's consistent with what you want to do and why you want to do it. Now again, DBT has a lot of modules, 4 main modules to be specific, but the one that I'm going to focus on today as it relates to the value of interpersonal relationships, I'm going to focus on the module that talks about interpersonal effectiveness. So interpersonal effectiveness really is aimed at helping people to communicate and meet their needs maintain relationships, and then also keep self-respect. So it's that balance of being able to assert yourself in asking for what you need while also maintaining the relationship, acknowledging that the other person has needs, and then finding the middle ground between those two so that you can maintain your self-respect and respecting the other person. Within interpersonal effectiveness, there are two ways in which we can communicate and use these skills to help us when we're in relationships. So we have a way to utilize these techniques for objective skills, and then we can use these techniques to help build relationships or end relationships, because sometimes we need to end certain relationships. And so that gives us an opportunity to do it in a respectful way. So Dear Man is an acronym for how to objectively ask for what you need, ask for what it is that you want from a person or the relationship, and then again being able to ask the other person how they are thinking and feeling and what they need from that situation as well. So Dear Man stands for D, describe the current situation. You just want to name the facts objectively. And then the E is to express the feelings and emotions. Again, it's important to take ownership of what you need and why you need to have this conversation, why you're asking for this thing. But you can absolutely express your emotions, saying you feel X way when X is done or isn't done. And so that helps to take some accountability of the experience that you are having when something is done or is not done. So that's the E in Dear. A is assert wishes. Be direct. A lot of times it's difficult for us to be direct and be respectful, but it is so much easier when we are very clear about what we need and why we need it, and just say it out loud. Sometimes I find that clients, and even myself, assume that people know what we need, but they don't. So be very direct. This is what you need and why. The R is reinforce. And this is important to reinforce the importance of the relationship and why having this conversation about the situation at hand is going to be beneficial for both you and the other person. And then also reinforce the awareness of the other person's needs and values just as much as your own. M, mindful, stay current to the topic. If you all are having a conversation about the dishes not being done, okay, that's the topic. Focus on that only. Don't bring up something that happened 2 weeks ago relating to a car. Just focus on the dishes. If that is the main topic, focus on that. A, appear confident. You want to be able to have body language that is inviting, that is strong, but not intimidating. So finding that middle ground again between you being anchored and being fully present, while also making the other person feel comfortable and using your voice, speaking up. And this could be a good time for you to practice by yourself or with your therapist or counselor. If you have one who is practicing these skills with you, you can do a little bit of role playing with them to help you be more confident in your speech and in your conversation and overall body language. And then the N in man is negotiate. So ask for the other person's perspective or if they have a solution to the topic that you have brought up. So again, being able to look at the middle ground between your perspective and the other person's perspective, their needs, and then finding the middle ground between those two. One of the big skills with interpersonal effectiveness is to maintain relationship, get those needs met, and then continue to keep your self-respect by not compromising on those non-negotiables, but being willing to bend on those things that can help both people. So that is Dear Man, the objective effectiveness of being able to communicate and then being able to express your needs, express the feelings, be mindful about what the current situation is, and then problem solving by being able to look at both people's needs in the situation and finding a solution. I hope that was helpful for you all. Again, I want to be able to provide for you the most effective, efficient, resourceful, practical information and tools that I can give to help us all continue in this journey of fruitful and balanced living. I will continue to reach out and give all the resources that I can to you all. Again, posting questions throughout the week, and giving those little snippets and tidbits of upcoming things that I have for you all as it relates to values and the importance of really continuing to be in relationship with our values, because that's what we need in order to be our authentic selves. Okay? So please stick around this week. Again, I will be posting information. I will be posting some resources for our upcoming application Fridays, and hopefully you found this very helpful for you. If you have questions, as always, please feel free to reach out, to contact me, and we can see how Genesis can be a support to you on your journey to fruitful and balanced living. All right, I will see you all on Friday. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you soon.